Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. I'm Pat, and I'm back with another edition of our recap review series for the ongoing Best of the Super Juniors 29 tournament within New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you're new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, or the subscribe button if you're listening on podcast streamers like Google, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Anchor, whatever it may be. Hit the subscribe button, help us out, help us continue to grow. If you're on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment on the video. Comment what your favorite match was from the show, who your favorite wrestler is in the tournament, whatever you want to do. And leave a like on the video as well. And if you're on Apple or Spotify listening, you can leave a review for the podcast and help us grow that way. We're also on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling without the G. You can follow us there, and you can see when we post new episodes. Without further ado, we have a lot to go through. We have 10 matches to talk about because now we are in the dual block nights where A and B block are going. Just 10 matches, no preview tags. So we're going to dive head first into this, just get right into the goodies here. And we're going to start with our opening match, which was Alex Zane versus Francesco Akira here in Korakuen Hall. I believe they said about 1,300 people were in the arena tonight. And right off the bat, we did have Kevin Kelly and Chris. We had Chris Carlton back on commentary, and I thought his presence was a very strong one tonight. I thought him and Kevin back together was very nice to hear. And right off the bat, we had them talking about the ongoing rumors that we could see crowd noises, audible crowd cheering allowed back in Japan soon enough. So fingers crossed that happens, and we could hopefully maybe see it for the Best of the Super Juniors finals. As I'll mention here throughout the night, it is like at a boiling point. This crowd, many times throughout the night, was audibly making noises with gasping and a reaction. So it does seem pretty clear that things are likely headed in a positive direction in terms of the restrictions there. So, yeah. Worth noting that I thought Alex Zane came out here and just was very over with the crowd. Him and Ace Austin have been really killing it with the social media game since going over to Japan. And I thought that Zane also just looked more confident in this match, and even during his entrance, than he has pretty much in the entire tournament so far. We had commentary talking about his Baja Blast move. So if you're a Taco Bell fan, you know Alex Zane is the guy. The sauce. From here, just some notable things that happened in the match. I thought Alex Zane had a really, really good counter here for Akira's Dragon Rana, where he basically, Akira went for it and Zane caught him and then flipped him over into what looked like an Alabama Slam position. But Francesco countered out of that and eventually then used the ropes for an assisted Rana, which was really nice. We had a huge powerbomb from Alex Zane, and it is worth noting, Alex Zane definitely, I feel like he has to be the biggest guy in this tournament. It's not to the level of like Shingo when he was in Best of the Super Juniors in 2019. But there is a big size difference, I feel, between him and a lot of the guys. So it is, you know, I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it. I'm glad that they're playing into it, especially this match. I thought like him being a bigger guy than Francesco played a big role here, and he had a huge looking power bomb here, with as a counter to Francesco Akira's speed fire move. And eventually he would hit the Baja Blast and then followed it up with a taco driver. And we had an audible crowd reaction for him here as the bell rang. So Alex Zane picked up a win here. And yeah, again, it just felt like, the crowd is, you can really tell who the crowd is behind. And Alex Zane is somebody who it seems like the Japanese crowds are getting behind. I do think this was also his strongest match of the tournament. I still think Francesco versus Hiromu was his strongest, but this Alex Zane and Francesco Akira match was definitely his strongest match so far. From there, we went to TJP versus Teton, and Teton had some special looking like tiger mask inspired gear here, which I thought was pretty nice. His mask looked really nice. They did make a note here about Mascara. Oh God, I can't even say his name. Dorado, not Lindsay Dorado. My God, I feel like an idiot. Grand Metalik from WWE. That this man on New Japan Strong has apparently had his mask taken off 2 times recently. Needs better mask security. But they were talking about him on commentary, so I assume that it's only a matter of time before we see him show up like within actual New Japan. And they did make a reference during this match to the return of Fantastica Mania. So I would assume that's going to happen. So maybe he'll come over for that. Because Chris said that there's going to be an announcement for it in the near future. So I guess we'll see. Right off the bat here, we had Teton hitting a big dive onto TJP, and his big suicide dive here got a big reaction from the crowd. He hit his own big thrust kick, which I feel like taking a note off of the sudden death he ate from El Phantasmo on night 6. Just absolutely murdered him with the kick. Commentary also referenced Manny Pacquiao, and I did see this on Twitter that New Japan put out a video of Manny Pacquiao hyping up TJP ahead of this match against Titan. So I honestly, when they mentioned this on air, I was like, oh, okay, TJP's winning this. It feels very weird that they got like this video from somebody like Manny Pacquiao, reference it, then TJP loses, but it is what it is. The crowd was firmly behind Teton for this match, and I do have to say, I feel like he's playing a very, very good underdog babyface this tournament. He has such a fun moveset that, like, anytime he gets beaten up, you really just want to see him fire back and come out strong. And he did his big double stomp, and this one was huge. He just did it. TJP was, like, laying on the floor, and Teton went up top and did his double stomp to the floor. That looked great. And then back in the ring, he hit a second double stomp onto TJP's back, and he got the win. Teton is on the board. This is his first win of the tournament. And, I'd consider this, somewhat of an upset. It's TJP, so it's not like it's like a huge thing, but I thought this was good. Yeah, I was a fan. I'm really liking Teton in this tournament. I think he's great. And TJP has not really had a bad match so far, so yeah. That would send us into Clark Connors versus Taguchi. Right off the bat, Taguchi gets spooked by Clark's buns of steel, as commentary noted. And we had Clark nailing his own, like, very nice looking B trigger, Taguchi's, V trigger variant with his ass. And this ends up just being the story of the match. Up on the top rope, Clark hits repeated hip attacks, which causes Taguchi to smile before just toppling over. I thought that was hilarious. Clark goes for his patented spear, then gets caught with an enziguri as Taguchi takes over for a bit. Taguchi goes for the bummer A, and Clark then hits the rear view. And Chris Carlton, with the call of the night, says that this is the most Christian match of all time because they keep turning the other cheek. I got a nice laugh out of that. I thought that was pretty funny. We had just lots and lots of butt-based offense for a while. Eventually, Connors hit a spear and followed up with a power slam and then hit the trophy kill. And Clark Connors won. He did it. He won a match. I'm interested to see if this is going to be his only win or if he's going to pick up some more. But yeah, this was something different, but I thought it worked really well, and I thought it showed a side of Clark that we haven't really seen, some versatility here. So I was a fan of this. I thought this was 3 in a row. I thought they were off to a great start on this show, and spoiler alert, they never really lost it. This was, again, top to bottom, this was a fantastic night. Bushi versus Wheeler Yuta. As Yuta enters, we're blessed with Kevin Kelly, who's just absolutely just pooping on the Philadelphia Phillies and just starts talking about the Mets, saying that he wanted to talk over the Philadelphia Phillies fan, who is Wheeler Yuta, so he could talk about his Mets. I do want to say that this definitely feels like one of the first times that the crowd is like very, very into Yuta so far in this tournament. He definitely had like a slower start to this tournament, or not necessarily slower, but more muted, I would say. And I think after the match with Desperado and Desperado putting him over on Twitter probably helped quite a bit. So that's good to see. Right early on, we had a big tope suicida from Yuta. We had a Bridget, just a really nice looking bridging German from Yuta for a 2 count before transitioning into the cattle mutilation, which is something he's been using all tournament. And eventually he won with the seatbelt clutch that he's been using. So I thought this was definitely one of the lesser matches on the show, but to be fair, I'm not putting the blame on Yuta. It's Bushi, and I will continue to say, if you've listened to the other reviews, you know I'm not a Bushi fan. But I thought this was perfectly fine, and it was just a nice little win for Yuta. So yeah. Ace Austin versus Yo here, one of the stars of the tournament this year, the Impact X Division champion, Ace Austin. We have commentary noting that Ace Austin did a meet and greet before the show, and he had the longest line with it going outside the building and around the block. Again, mentioning the social media presence from Ace Austin and Alex Zane. Seems like these guys came in and knew what to do. Ace Austin was so over with these fans. You have people like, this is the guy's first time in Japan, and there was a number of people in the crowd with posters or like towels and like his shirt. And they were just firmly behind him with like very loud, like very lively clapping. So Ace Austin is coming out of this tournament, I feel like, much stronger than he came in. So I love that for the guy. He seems awesome. And he's just a really good wrestler. Early portion of the match, literally anything Ace Austin did got a great reaction from the crowd. He got control to start, but eventually got cut off by Yo thanks to a plancha onto the floor. Yo goes for the direct drive, but got countered. We had a big knee strike from Yo, and then he followed up with another big thrust kick. This is just the night of everybody loves the thrust kick. Eventually, Ace got control back and dropped Yo with the House of Cards, and then he nailed him with the fold, and he won for a big ovation here. This is surprising to me just because I have Yo winning the tournament. I'm not too confident on that one, but yeah, I thought this was solid. Wasn't, again, not necessarily special, but just getting to hear the Korakuen crowd react for Ace Austin like this, that was really nice. And yeah, I think he's having a really good tournament so far. I do think he's one of the breakout stars this year in Best of the Super Juniors. I think the crowds love him, so I think they're going to want to have him back as soon as they can. And he's clicking with pretty much everybody he's wrestling, so I'm hoping that some of these guys will get to come over to Impact to challenge for the X Division title. He's already lost to Hiromu, so obviously that would be a big one. And I mentioned it when I was talking about the match that they had, but you know, Hiromu's probably going to come over, I would assume, for Forbidden Door for AEW. And the week before that is Slammiversary, and there's an Ultimate X match for Ace Austin's X Division title. And there are open spots, so I am curious to see if anybody from Best of the Super Juniors that beats Ace, if they get in. So we'll see. But yeah, really nice stuff here. This would serve as our little intermission. So we had our first 5 matches here. And again, I thought this was a really strong start to the show with Alex Zane versus Francesco Akira. Again, I thought Alex Zane just did really strong. And I'm really liking Francesco as well. So I'd recommend watching that. TJP versus Teton, I would recommend watching that just for, you know, Teton I'm really loving. Clark Connors versus Taguchi was just a ton of fun. So I'd say that. If you're a Wheeler Yuta fan, watch the match with Bushi. You get to see Wheeler Yuta wrestle, and you get to see the crowd kind of more behind him than normal. And Ace Austin versus Yo, I'd also recommend. Honestly, all 5 of these first matches, I would say watch. And like, I don't think there's a match on the show that I would say skip. I think everything is worth watching, to be honest. So yeah, that sends us into the second half of the show, which kicked things off with Doki versus El Phantasmo. This starts hot really quick with them going to the floor, and Doki goes up into the stands, and we hear Kevin Kelly just being like, I need to get down, and you can see him, and he's just like ducking down in front of like a little ramp here, and Doki sprints off of the stands and jumps over Kevin Kelly to take out El Phantasmo for a very big spot that got a great reaction. And then back in the ring, El Phantasmo just lifts up Doki for what looks like a vertical suplex and then just tosses him to the floor, which got another like audible gasp. He followed that up with a huge moonsault to the floor. And then back in the ring, we had a springboard crossbody from Phantasmo, who then rolled through it into a lion salt for a 2 count. El Phantasmo is so goddamn smooth. He is just insane. Like, this guy can make anything look good. ELP hits the UFO, and Doki kicks out at the last second, and we get another gasp from the crowd. ELP goes for sudden death and gets blocked as Doki hits a combination kick, and the crowd is just firmly in the Doki corner here. And then we have the finish. Doki goes for Daybreak, but his leg gives out, and he botches the move, and he just lands face first, and El Phantasmo goes to get him, and Doki rolls him up. He was playing possum, and he shocks the world as Doki pins El Phantasmo, and the crowd goes wild for this. Like, just imagining this with 0 restrictions for, like, the crowd noise would have made it even better. But this was fantastic. I loved this. I loved the finish. This is one of the best finishes of the year. From my understanding, this is like a tribute spot to an older Jushin Thunder Liger match from the 90s. So that's also pretty cool. But I thought this was great. I thought El Phantasmo and Doki both looked really good here, and I thought they executed a really good, shocking moment here. And this is honestly, this starts a string of surprising. Literally the next 5 matches all had surprise finishes, which is insane, and none of them felt like they took away from the other one. So again, this show is just like peak Best of the Super Juniors. This show is just out of this world fun. We go from Doki versus El Phantasmo to Master Wato versus Robbie Eagles. This was not a match that I was expecting to enjoy that much. Master Wato is not a favorite, aside from, the memes that is Master Wato, but, this ended up being really good too. Right out of the gate, Wato attempts his submission hold, and he's playing, like, the story is that he's down 0-3 so far in this tournament. And so he comes out of here playing, much faster, much more aggressive after dropping the first 3 matches in the tournament. But Eagles gets to the rope, so he has to let go. Eagles then takes control, just chopping Wato until he drops him, with our blue man attempting to fight back, but eventually just gets taken to town with kicks, the yes kicks, or whatever you want to call them, with a big tilt-a-whirl backbreaker from Wato that looked pretty good. Eagles goes for the 450, but he sees Wato putting the knees up as he's coming off the top rope and catches himself, which I thought was a really good spot, honestly. We had a leaping leg lariat from Wato that sends Eagles down to the floor. Back in the ring, Eagles locks in the Ron Miller special, dead center, but Wato fights through and manages to get the rope break. We had a big German suplex with Wato just dumping Eagles on the back of his head. And we got Wato was going up top for whatever his top rope finish is. I genuinely don't know the name. And this is pretty inventive. I don't think I've ever seen this. But Robbie Eagles, to take Wato down, he basically did like a 619 through like the middle of the ropes to take out Wato's leg, and it dropped Wato down. I thought it looked pretty good. And we didn't just have Robbie just like a consistent murder here of just like strong kicks to the head for Wato. He goes for the turbo backpack, but Wato counters with a head scissor and then rolls Robbie Eagles up here, and he wins. Master Wato's on the board. no more winless Watto. And I thought this was one of Master Watto's like strongest singles matches, and maybe it's just because he was in there with somebody like Robbie Eagles, who is just incredibly gifted. But I thought these two clicked on like every level, and I thought they had a really like strong match here. But again, fairly shocking, that this 0-3 kind of loser guy, Master Watto, got a big singles win here. Hiromu versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Immediately, Kanemaru attacks Hiromu before he can finish the entrance, and Takahashi then fights out of this and immediately hits his corner Death Valley driver and follows up with the time bomb, but Kanemaru rolls through for an early near fall. Kanemaru then just goes to town and brutalizes the knee of Hiromu, starting with a basement dropkick and then a knee breaker, and then putting in the figure four. Outside of the ring, Kanemaru just continues this assault on the knee and distracts the ref and drops Hiromu's knee onto a chair. And then back in the ring, he locks in the figure four for a second time, dead center of the ring. Hiromu stays in this for a while, just continues to try and fight out of it, but eventually it's too much, and Hiromu has to give up to try and save his tournament so he's not too injured, and he taps out. Kanemaru gets a huge win here, and post-match he ends up attacking Hiromu's knee once again, and Hiromu has to be helped out. So we now have a big story for Hiromu for the rest of the tournament of will his knee be okay, and will his competitors attack the knee? But this was, again, another shocking win, as I don't think many people had Kanemaru winning, nor do I think the crowd was expecting it based on their reaction, but it works well and adds more drama to the tournament. Yeah. Taiji Ishimori versus Sho. On paper, and for like the first 5 minutes of this match or so, this was not for me. We kick things off here, and we just start by Ishimori just poking at Sho's eyes and then using closed fists on the floor to just mess with him. And then he goes into the ring and undoes one of the turnbuckle pads. Sho then comes back and launches Ishimori into the exposed turnbuckle and then plays the same game by just going to town on Ishimori's eyes. We get the normal spots with the using the ring bell hammer. Sho manages to get it, distracts the ref, and just unloads on Ishimori. And then we ended up actually getting some wrestling. We had a big shoulder breaker from Ishimori, which then got followed up by an attempt at Mystica that got blocked. A spear from Sho. Sho goes for shock arrow, and that gets stopped. And then we get the fun stuff. Ishimori tosses the title into Sho's hands as he screams in pain before, doing like the old Eddie Guerrero spot here, and then goes for a series of roll-ups. The third one gets stopped as he attempts to get his feet up on the ropes. The ref catches him. Sho gets a near-fall roll-up and then follows up with a brutal-looking German suplex. We then get Sho using his trusty wrench, but it gets kicked away by Ishimori, and then he picks it up, twirls it around as the crowd starts clapping for him to use it. And then Sho gets up and pleads with him to give it back and promises that he won't use it. Ishimori then hands him the wrench. And he does the same thing. He starts screaming in pain and pretends to get hit, which allows a distraction here. The ref has to deal with this wrench. Ishimori grabs the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title and nails Sho with it for a belt shot, and he pins him. This ended up being pretty fun, I'm not going to lie. Mileage may vary depending on how much you're into the, Bullet Club style shenanigans, but I thought these two ended up having a little fun match here. It probably could have gone a little shorter, but it was still a fun time, and I came out of this with, I came out of it satisfied, and that wasn't something I expected going into this, so it is what it is. I would still recommend it. I thought it was a fun match. And then we had our main event, El Desperado versus El Lindaman. This was a big-time match that had been hyped up for a while now. As Desperado's getting introduced, Lindaman drops him, and then sends him to the floor and hits his huge dive over the top rope. I love this thing. He gets a big reaction from the crowd. We have a big one-handed spine buster from El Desperado as he cuts off El Lindaman's strong start. Then we have a series of the two men slamming each other face first into the apron down on the floor. And Desperado gets the upper hand here. And then he does this. This was insane. And commentary has made note that this is the best of the Super Juniors tradition where there's no barricade at ringside, so that the competitors have, full room to do whatever they want. Desperado comes like a Darby Allin type speed here with a dive through the middle rope and just takes out Lindemann and somewhat wipes out into the first row. This looked crazy, but I thought it was great. We had the Katara de Angel from Desperado, which got a 2 count. Both men go up top. Lindemann gets dropped with a headbutt, but then comes back, jumping up top and bringing Desperado back into the ring with a big cross arm breaker. But Desperado fights out me at the rope break. Lindemann, I don't know the name of this, so please don't shoot me, but Lindemann hits his one arm over the shoulder slam for a near fall. I don't know what this is, but it looks so cool. Desperado locks in the numero dos, which is the stretch muffler, in the center of the ring. Lindemann ends up fighting out and gets to the rope. And then we have a fantastic finishing sequence here for this match where Desperado attempts Pinche Loco, but Lindemann gets out. It hits a backdrop to counter. Lindemann then gets his German suplex that he's been winning the matches with, bridges, but Desperado kicks out, which got a big reaction from the crowd. Lindemann then goes for a tiger suplex, which Chris Carlton noted is what he had to use for whatever title he has in GLEAT. He has to use the tiger suplex in his last title defense to win. But as he's going for the tiger suplex, Desperado, at a last-second attempt, kicks his leg back and takes Lindemann down by kicking out his leg. Pretty inventive spot there. Desperado goes for Pinche Loco once again, but Lindemann gets out, and Desperado goes for it a second time. Lindemann gets out again and nails a Snapdragon. Crowd lights up here, and he follows up with a Tiger Suplex, and Lindemann gets the win. And this was this felt big. I thought this was definitely the right call for the main event. The crowd was definitely into all of this from moment one to the end. And this, honestly, I don't have the match time in front of me, but this felt like it was over and done with so soon, and it definitely wasn't. This definitely felt like it was... Let's see. Let me find the match time real quick. I can do that. But again, I was a big fan of this. I love everything I'm seeing with Lindemann. I think this guy is fantastic. I think Desperado is great. I think everybody knows that by now. But Lindemann in this tournament is definitely somebody who I have just been, really, really enjoying. Okay, well, I went to New Japan's website for the results for match times, and has it not been updated? No, it has not. They only have the 22nd is the last one they have. Okay, well, that's it's not nearly as fun. But regardless, fantastic match. You should definitely go out of your way to see it. If I'm going to recommend matches, I guess, for this show, let's work from the beginning here. Again, I really think you should go watch all 10 of these matches. It's genuinely just great wrestling top to bottom. But just picking out, I guess, the best. Desperado versus Lindemann, yes. Doki versus El Phantasmo, yes. I'd say Clark Connors versus Taguchi, yes. It's kind of hard to pick other ones that are must watch. Maybe TJP versus Teton is an underrated one to go check out. And I'd say Alex Zane versus Francesco Akira. So I think those would be, I think I named 5. If I named 5, then yeah, those would be the 5 out of the 10 that you should absolutely must watch. But again, I can't stress this enough. I think this entire show, all 10 of these matches, was just a phenomenal watch. So I'm looking forward to the next night of matches. So far, this tournament, it's been a very fun tournament. So, and coming out of this, for those who care about our prediction scores, if you haven't listened, you can go back a few episodes of the podcast and you can listen to our full predictions for the tournament. But our scores coming out of this, so this was night 7. It was a pretty rough one for everybody but Joey. Ryan finished with 2 points. Angelo and myself had 3. Rob had 4. Joey had 7. Joey was off to a very strong start. I believe he was 6-0. The first 6 matches in a row he got correct. And that changed up our scores totally here. Angelo sits at 18 points, so still in last place. Rob is at 23. So he's now 1 behind me. I'm at 24. Ryan and me are now tied. We're both at 24. And Joey, who I believe was in 4th place because of tonight's event where he got 7, he has shot up to 1st place and has passed us as he now sits at 25. So very close game for the 4 of us. Angelo has some work to do. to catch up. But Joey has 25, myself and Ryan have 24, Rob has 23, and Angelo has 18 points as we head into night 8 of the Best of the Super Juniors, which, if you subscribe to the podcast or if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will get our review of very quickly, because I'm trying to do my best of keeping these coming out. And yeah, so coming up here on night 8, let me get the card up. We have Master Watto versus Teton. Since I have it in front of me, Angelo is on an island. He has chosen Teton. The rest of us have Master Watto. Doki versus TJP. Rob and Ryan are the only two with TJP. Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Clark Connors. I am by myself with Clark Connors as my winner. Taguchi versus Alex Zane. Ryan and me have Alex Zane. Yo versus Francesco Akira. All of us have Yo. Wheeler Yuta versus El Lindemann. All of us have Wheeler Yuta. I'm not too confident about that one anymore. Ace Austin versus Taiji Ishimori. Rob and myself have Ace Austin. The rest of the group has Taiji Ishimori. It's a little champ versus champ match. IWGP versus X Division champ. Bushi versus El Desperado. Ryan and Angelo have Bushi. The rest of us have Desperado. Hiromu Takahashi versus Sho. Joey and me have Sho. El Phantasmo versus Robbie Eagles. Angelo and Ryan have El Phantasmo. Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus... I think that's it. I think that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so that's night 8. So that's our little preview. That's our review. That's my review for night 7 of the Best of the Super Juniors. If you enjoyed, if you made it to the end, again, comment down below what was your favorite match from night 7. Comment who is the star of the tournament or your MVP so far. Be sure to leave a like if you're on YouTube. Leave a review if you're on Spotify or Apple. It helps us out. And if you're on YouTube, again, help us hit 150 subscribers. We're at 129 right now, so help us make the next little push here as we try and get, math is not my strong suit. 21 subscribers, I think. So thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow with another review, and then we'll have our review for the Go Home show for Double or Nothing on Thursday for AEW. Friday we'll have our weekly review for Impact Wrestling. I would assume Friday we'll probably also have our predictions out for Double or Nothing, or maybe we'll save that for Saturday. Sunday's Double or Nothing, so Monday we'll have our review for Double or Nothing, and we'll continue with the Best of the Super Juniors coverage. So if you're enjoying it all, please consider subscribing. Help us out. Help us grow. We appreciate it. And until next time, thank you for listening. I'll talk to you in the next video.